Hi, my name is Edward, and welcome to the Edward Interview Show, where we interview a bunch of people that I'm curious about. Today we have a bunch of very special guests, as you can clearly see by all these chairs. A bunch of people who are musically talented, who now use their talents for God. Ladies and gentlemen, without any fillers or interruptions, I know you don't like to hear me talk all the time. Let me tell you what this day is really about. And this day is about eWorship. eWorship? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Well, I'm going to ask you the first question that I ask every guest, and that is, this one's to all of you. How are you guys doing? Can you speak into the mic? They can't hear you.
Well, we are doing pretty good. Y'all guys are excited? Yeah, we're excited to be here. Thank you for having us. We're Emmanuel Worship, and thank you for having us again.
Of course, this is a long time coming. These people have been here at Emmanuel Church and Power Youth, just doing what they do every Wednesday, Sunday. Second question, what's on your guys' mind?
Well, we got one that says food. Me, at 8 o'clock, the Rockets are playing today. That's what's in my head right now, so I'm trying to hurry up, but, hey.
I'm just thinking about these questions that you're about to ask us.
Good.
Anybody else?
I'm just very excited to be here.
That's good. I'm glad you are. I'm very excited to be interviewing you guys. I'm not the most qualified, but I'm here, and that's what's good. And welcome to the Edward Interview Show. There's going to be a lot of mic sharing, so I'm going to try to ask a lot of group questions. But the first one is how did you guys get into worship? So like your origins of worship.
I was born and raised a PK kid, so my mom's is a musician, so it's been passed down to me, so that's how I started. Since I
And
was
did
born.
you originally start on the drums, or did you start on another instrument? Were you interested
The
in...
first one was the drums. It's always been the drums.
Mhm. Got you. And you've just been focused on that.
And the
Got you.
keyboard, so yeah.
So,
My mom, she used to be a big worshiper. She
yes.
used to be like in a choir and do other things. So it basically she gave me like a motivation, and yeah.
Got you. I can tell that kind of for everybody, family is a big part of getting into worship. So, for people who don't know, and probably everybody seeing this kind of knows this. My name is Edward Quintero, and I'm interviewing you. And the people a part of this is my big sister, Tammy Quintero, and then my brother, who's kind of a newbie. He plays the bass, Christopher Quintero. So we're all kind of, it's like a family thing. So I know that's a general theme throughout everything. But Tammy, what is the big thing that got you into worship?
Well, I've been doing praise and worship here for. Recently, we just turned 10 years that
Woo.
I've been coming to the church. 10 years, so it's been about 10 years since I've started to worship, where it was me and Sam. He was my teacher, he was my mentor, he helped me become who I was. And,
Shout out to Sam.
Yeah, wherever you are, dude, thank you very much. I appreciate you. But yeah, so about 10 years, it's grown as my passion. It's something that I will forever love to do.
Mm.
And I'm just happy that I get to share that experience with the team.
Got you. Guile, what was your first inspiration to get into worship?
Well, it's kind of the same with Nathan. My parents were pastors, and they got me into music class, and I learned how to play the drums there. And then my first instrument was actually the drums. That's how I started, and I was like 5 years old. My dad would play coritos, and I'd just be like, that's it. But that's where I started. Then I got into guitar and the bass, and I just learned from people. They just taught me the basics. And then from there, I just took it on. And vocals, that's new to me. That's I've never.
Great singer, by the way.
Oh.
There's a lot of great singers here. I think everybody here is a very good vocalist. Even you, Nathan. I know
Even
you
you,
play drums,
Nathan.
but I know Nathan can sing
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Well, that's amazing. So, I'll pass it to the best for last.
Okay, so for me, Sam, he invited me. I didn't even go to Power Youth or anything, and he was like, "Hey, you sing, right?" And so, boom, I'm here. So I relate to Tammy.
hmm
Shout out to Sam.
hmm
Thank you for everything, Sam.
Shout out Sam. I think it's the older generation, the first ones who really built the worship team that are kind of who built the worship team that is standing right here in front of me or sitting right here in front of me. Do you guys remember the first time where it clicked in your head that I would really, really want to be on the worship team?
A tough question. I think it was the first time that I was actually up here. I was like, whoa, like I'm really doing this. And then after that, I went home and I was like, thank God, thank you, God, for what you've done, and it's been an experience.
Got you. So you were like iffy about it at first, but then when you actually
Yeah.
were up there, that's when you said, "This is what I want to do." Got you.
Yes.
And guys,
According to my mother,
yes, our dear mother.
our dear mother, I've been singing since I was like 2.
Wow.
Like she tells me stories that during the middle of the service that I would, break out like in a song, and like of course a little 2-year-old, and so they're all like, "Oh, so cute" or whatever. But I feel like people knew that I was gonna do this before I knew myself,
Got you. Wow.
which I get it now. Back then I was like, nah. I was actually very, very nervous. As I started growing up, I became very, very nervous to just sing in front of anybody. Like that wasn't me. That wasn't me to be the person to be like, I'm gonna do it. But I'm here now, so things
That's
have
good.
changed.
Yes.
Things have changed for the best.
Mine was at my first convention I went to.
Yes.
I was it was during praise and worship, and I was up there, and I was like I wanted to be up there. I wanted to be like in the presence of God, praising Him and glorifying His name. And that's when I decided, to
Mm.
yeah.
Got you. Nathan.
Me, for me, I guess I already knew. Like, I don't know, I already knew I always wanted to be up there. I guess it's my calling. So it's like, if it's your calling, you already know.
Yeah. Got you. And then Gaio, our most experienced. Which do you remember kind of like the first moment where you really, really said, "I want to be part of the worship team"?
Yes, I do actually. It was well, back then I used to be in a rock band before
Wow.
I came to this church.
Yes.
I joined a rock band. It was called Motion X, and I just started playing in different places in Houston. Even went to Austin and played over there.
Wow.
And then one time I got invited to this church, and I was a Christian, but I was just doing my own thing. I came to this church and I saw how the worship was amazing here, and then I stayed and I started coming, and then I saw the worship team, how they just glorified God, and I wanted that, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. I want to give my talent to God and play up there and bring Him glory. So that's how I wanted to
Got you.
play on stage just for Him.
All right. Well, I think that's like the pivotal moment in like wanting to get into worship. I'm pretty sure for most of you guys, getting into worship is a nerve-wracking, nervous thing. It's different when you're practicing and then when you're actually there upstage, like on the stage, and people are looking at you. It's an entirely different thing. So the next question I actually wanted to ask you guys was, were you guys brought up in church, and were you guys, little and seeing these people on the worship team?
Yes, I was brought up in a house of God, with my dad and my mom, and I seen different players, and I see how they worship God, and then like I said, how I came here and I really saw that. I was a little bit older, and I understood like
Yeah.
how I felt to worship God. It just brought me a different mindset about it.
Gotcha.
I agree too. I was when I was little, I would just see them. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Mhm.
it looks so cool playing it. How many instruments they could play? But yeah, it was thank God because wow, we're here now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
See, for me, it's my mama. She's been my biggest inspiration.
Mhm.
She, I've always watched her growing up. She taught me a lot in music. She taught me like who I'm doing it for,
Mhm.
why I'm doing it. I think my mom, she's been my inspiration, so she taught me how.
Gotcha.
Same thing with my mom as well. I don't know if I don't know my family remembers, but I don't know if they remember. We used to have a children's choir,
Yeah.
and yeah, my mom made it, and I mean it was pretty cool.
Mhm.
So shout out to my mom.
Yeah. Shout out to moms, all the moms.
So yeah, we've grown up always in church.
Yes.
Since we were like a week old. My mom left the house. She wasn't supposed to. It's okay. But we were at church. We were always at church. The church we grew up in was very, I guess you'd like to call like old school because it was, all the coritos and everything. That's what we grew up with. That's what we know. And it was once that we started coming here to Emmanuel Church is when, our music expanded. We learned about, different ways of worshiping God, different ways of music, because we would always know that a lot of people, like, when it comes to, like, rap music or different kinds of music, like, we didn't really think, like, oh, that music, you can use it.
Yeah.
You can use that music to worship God,
Gotcha.
and what you can, it's something that we learned. So, yeah.
Growing up in church is, I would definitely say, a privilege and a blessing. I remember watching preachers, and of course I grew up in a Spanish church, so I had no idea of what they were saying. But when I would watch English preachers, and I actually got to hear, what they were saying, talking about God, that was a real effect on me, because I saw them, and through me seeing them, I was like, that's something that I would want to do, something that's, that's cool. So it's kind of like that, but, for worship, seeing that I don't know if you guys see the little toddlers at the front bench who like watch y'all and like play along with y'all. Like those might be future worship team people. And speaking of the future, you guys talk about a lot of your inspirations. Sam is one of them. Again, thank you. Shout out to Sam. Our moms, of course. Growing up, we have 2 PK kids here. And that's really, really nice too. So this is what I wanted to say is, how will the future of worship change from when you guys give to the next step? I know, a deep question. How will the future of worship change when you guys eventually become inspirations to other people?
When you think about worship, it's your time with God.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're talking to Him, you're giving Him all the glory, you're worshiping Him. What I would like to see in the future, to change up the sound, change up the way maybe you do it, but that worship needs to stay the same. That worship needs to stay the same. That worship, that the amount of want that you have to worship God, to help others worship God, has to be there. That's what I would think.
I got you. That's actually a very good point to see. Like, of course, you want things to change, but the worship, that needs that part of people wanting to worship is staying the same. That's actually a really very good point. Anybody else wanted to speak on that subject? All right, go ahead, Gaio.
I'll say some. Just say it one more time, brother. Question.
How do you want the future of worship to change, or some of the different things that you pass on to other people?
Well, for the next generation, I would like them to change the music to whatever it is that day to attract the people that are out there,
Got
but
you.
still keep it in God,
Mm-hmm.
still keep it in Christ, still keep it holy, but just to build up His kingdom, God's kingdom, just keep it holy
Mhm.
and attract other people, because we want to keep Jesus in our lives, in our music, any type of music. You could do rap, hip hop,
Yeah.
same category, but country, anything really, reggaeton if you want. But as long as it's God's word and God's using you through those words, that's what really counts. That's what you catch people with, and
Got you.
that's what I hope for the future. For them to reach out for lives and
So,
build.
kind of expanding on that subject, of course, this is you guys' opinion on the worship team. So, worship team music is not in itself its own genre. It's everything, like you said. So, you guys really, what you're saying is in the future, there'll be rap worship, and we already see it starting to come today. Rap worship, pop worship, rock worship. Is that something that you guys, would love to see, or is that something that you guys want to refrain from?
Would love to see that,
Mm.
because as long as lives are being touched, lives are being changed just by music, that's very powerful because
Gotcha.
using music to bring people to Christ.
This next question is actually for my brother Christopher. So go ahead, and there's gonna be a lot of awkward passing the mic, but we'll get through it. So you're actually the newest person. You're actually newer than Nathan, but you're the newest person, and just talking about how because you're just coming into worship. How is it for you who's just coming into worship? What does your experience so far feel like?
I think it's awesome, to have the people that I love, you know, helping me, and it's also to feel good, like being in the presence, even though people are not here during the circumstances, it still feels awesome. It still feels amazing, and I'm so grateful to let people see my potential. So
That's great. That's great. You were kind of mentored by our older bass player, Jonathan. Shout out to Jonathan.
shout out bass teacher, shout out.
And how much of Jonathan do you feel like it takes for you when you're up there playing bass? Was he a big push for you?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, he taught me a lot. And still have more to learn,
Mhm.
but he's a very good teacher, and I'm grateful that I have him as a teacher, because he's told me like stories about how nobody has taught him before, and he's teaching what he taught himself to me.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm like this today.
This next question's for my dear sister Tammy. I know I'm kind of giving you both, because you're my siblings, of course. So, for you, how much did Sam, and I'm going to ask you this too, Selena, because you brought up Sam as well. How much did Sam push you? What did Sam tell you specifically about being into worship when he was trying to put you up there as well?
One time, I'll always remember this. It was right before Wednesday night youth service, and Sam was telling me, he was like, when you're worshiping, be transparent. Let the people see God through you. Let people see through you that you're real, that you're not faking anything. And which, I mean, is true. Like, we're up here because we want to do this. Not up here just 'cause.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I remember that. But Sam always told me, if this is something you don't want to do, or he was no one to pressure me.
Gotcha.
You know? He's like, if this is what you want to do, then you have the compassion and the want to do it. If this is something that maybe that's not for you, then that was something that he understood. But we just grew together, and we did the best that we could. There was times where, of course, you get discouraged. You get discouraged because maybe there's not a lot of people that come. Or maybe there's people here and they're not really feeling it. And there was times that did discourage me. This one time that had happened while I was up here. And I remember I got so mad. I got so mad because in my head I was like, why are the people doing this? Why aren't they worshiping God? I mean, this is what we're here for. You know, we're free to do that. There's countries out there that they can't. You know, but we're free to be able to do that, and they weren't doing it, and that made me really, really mad. And as we passed it on to the preaching that night, I went outside and I was crying because God, he told me, he was like, you see what I see. You're seeing that people aren't worshiping me the way that I see it. And so I was outside and I was crying, and my best friend, her name is Nelsie. Hi, Nelsie. She was
Hi,
like, what's
Nelsie.
wrong? And I was like, it's because I saw what God sees, that the way that people just don't listen to him and the way that people don't worship him, and they're supposed to. And then Sam came out and I told him what happened, and he was like, I felt that all the time too. That there's people that they don't care, or they don't worship God. And like I said, he was like, we have the freedom to do that, but they don't do it. And he's like, but don't let that discourage you, because you're still up here and you're still doing it. You're doing it, and you're showing them that even though they don't want to do it, that you're going to do it. And so, so that's how it was.
Got you. And Selena, what was the kind of approach that, Sam or other people from the worship team had on you when they were trying to get you up there, to sing and worship also?
Let's talk a little bit more about Sam. I remember he did tell me that, worship is not about me, because I know that sometimes, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I do tend to think like, oh, I did this wrong. I messed up here. I did this, that. But it's not about me. Like, it's about God. It's about a genuine worship to him. And so I'm really thankful for Sam for always constantly reminding me that. Also, thank you, Tammy, for bringing up the rest. That truly describes how great of a person Sam was, and how much he didn't push. Which is that, I think that's why it was why we're still here. Genuinely wanting to do this. Thank you, Gaia, for everything too, Tammy. You guys have pushed me as well. We've gone through this whole journey, and there's still more to go. And I'm really excited for what we have. And, we've seen each other at our lowest, our highest. We've laughed. We haven't cried together. I don't think we've cried together. Not yet.
Yeah, that eventually. Down the road.
But yeah, thank you guys for everything. But yeah, that's all.
I wanted to get a little from Nathan. He's just sitting there all quiet. I want him to talk. He's kind of a newbie here. He's been here for a pretty decent amount of time. He's definitely, I feel, have you felt, the full worship experience here, being a drummer for how long have you been here?
Almost 3 years.
Wow, almost 3 years. Do you feel like you felt that you've really come to understand, your worship team?
Yeah.
Got you. And so I don't know that everybody knows the story about this, but your first time coming here, I don't know if it was your first, but this is my first time, seeing you. You came to a Power Youth service, and you were late, which still hasn't changed. But
Ouch.
you came, you sat like kind of far away from where the guys were, and then like I remember. I was like, oh, he's new, okay. I was like, how all churches are. Let's come up to him, greet him, make him feel welcome, try not to be creepy, that type of stuff. And I feel like you were here and, you started coming on like a very good, routine. You started coming. And then I guess it was like we found out you knew how to play drums, and we were like, oh, we need a good drum player. And then that's how you became drum. How was that process for you? What was that experience like for you?
want to thank Gabriel because he's the one that helped me.
Shout out to
He pushed
Gabriel.
me. Shout out to Gabriel. He pushed me to play the drums because he found out I played the drums and he told me, hey, because I saw that y'all needed help, and then. So yeah, so
Thank you
so
for
I
that.
found out y'all needed help. So yeah, I thank Gabriel because he told me about it. So from there he got me in touch with. That's where I first met Gaio. He told me, here, this is Gaio, and I thank God for Gaio because he helps. So, yeah, he helped me get on the worship team and everything. So, yeah.
Got you.
Oh.
How long is the period of you trying to, try to be friends with everybody and that type of stuff? Was that like hard? Was it a long thing, or was it like you hit off the bat with them?
Took a while to trust them, because I didn't know y'all, so
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm trusting y'all more than what I did when I got here. So
Yeah, that's good. I think it's always being like, oh, I'm part of a worship team now. Like, it was a funny story of me and my sister who used to make fun of my brother because he wasn't in the worship team group chat. And when he finally got into it, he played bass for a couple Sundays and Wednesdays, and he finally got into it. That's like a big thing. Like, oh, he's finally in the group chat now, so now they understand him as a member. So what was like that point for you? Was like, okay, I guess I'm part of the worship team now.
that's when they started like inviting me to come play with them. Like I guess yeah. So like I started off here, right? But I feel like I was actually part of the worship team when they started inviting me to the big church. That's when I was like, okay, now I feel like I'm actually part
The
of
big leagues. That's the big leagues over there.
That's the big leagues. Yeah.
Got you. And Gaio, I know I'm gonna get to you right now. How does it feel seeing so many people? You've been part of the worship team for how long? Do you know how long you've been part of the worship team? I remember growing up when I was like 13 and I saw you up there at the worship team. I'm 17 now. You're still up there. So how long have you been part of the worship team?
This worship team?
I mean, part of the worship team, any worship team.
Well,
How long have you been doing worship?
Well, I started with my dad when I was like 5. That was the first time. And then I helped out in this other church. I forgot the name of it. But I was there. That's where I actually learned the guitar. Like, the dude taught me, Jesus Gamboa. Shout out.
Shout out to Jesus.
Jesus. He taught me how to play. He taught me the basics, and then they put me to play an acoustic, and I did that for a whole year. Then my mom, she made me go to her church, and then I grew up and I came here. And how old was I when I got here? I was like 17 or 18, 17 or 18. No, I think I was like 17. Yeah, I was 17, and then I got in the worship team whenever Jonathan left to Impact now.
Got you.
Because they needed a bass player, and I knew a little bit how to play the bass. And Rachel came up to me, and she talked to me, and hey, you know how to play the bass? And I was like, yeah. I was a little kid. I was like, yeah, I know how to play. So that was my entry into the big leagues. And all these years, throughout the years, I was more, like when Sam was here, Michael, and all them, the full group, I was more like the substitution. Whenever someone was missing, I was the sub in. I backed them up. I backed up to everybody. Backed up John. So that's how I was at first. But I've been in the worship team about 6 years. 6 years of experience here in this church.
Got you. But you've been doing worship like pretty much.
Yeah, pretty
all
throughout
your
my life, a little bit by little bit, but
Wow.
good enough time. Good enough. 6 years here. Could be longer, bro. Probably 7 years.
Wow.
But yeah.
So I think you've substantiated yourself as the most experienced kind of out of everybody, which makes you, head honcho and stuff. So how are you, trying to, would you consider yourself kind of like, being a leader in the worship team, obviously you're a worship team leader. How is it becoming from, okay, I'm a reserve for this person, now I'm the worship team leader? How do you understand, and how do you try to get everybody, how are you a worship team leader? What do you do to lead? What is your things? What are your little things that you do for a worship team leader?
Like to be a leader. Well, first of all, throughout the years when I was here, I always looked at the worship leader.
Mm-hmm.
I always see how he does it. I saw Sam. Shout out to Sam.
Shout out to Sam.
We learned a lot from you, bro.
A big part of
Yes.
everybody.
And plus with Rachel, I learned a lot from her. I learned.
Rachel.
Shout out to Rachel. And just learning by them and see how they run the worship, how they come up with the songs, how they message us, make sure we're okay, try to keep scriptures with us, send the scriptures every once in a while. That's why I learned how to kind of have an idea how to lead worship.
Mm-hmm.
My mentality always was to, once I became a worship director for English, and for Spanish, I'm just subbing in for worship leader. My mentality was always to keep God in the center and the focus,
Yeah.
and don't worry about who's out there, but worry about the presence of God coming down. And for them to, I always tell the band, always have a mindset that you want to bring the glory of God down to fill these people, to let them feel the presence, because we are an instrument of God, that He's using us to bring down His glory. And I always tell them as well, remember why and who you do it for. So
Wow. Mm-hmm.
anytime they're discouraged, anytime y'all go through anything, even me, I always remember, thank you God, because you gave us a talent, you gave us the vocals, you gave us the keys, you gave us the ability to play an instrument,
Mm-hmm.
just so we can worship you and bring back our talents to you.
Got you.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I tried to be the best. Well, not the best, but I tried to be the best leader that I can be to these kids.
Kids.
Well, my wonderful young adults now. They're not kids no more.
Yeah. I mean, Christopher's a kid, but everybody else is young adults. But this is another group question I want to ask all of you guys, and I'm very curious to hear some of your responses. What is your most memorable part of being a part of the worship team? Your most memorable moment that you can think of?
Well, for me was whenever Gabriel and Leginska took me to brother-in-law's steakhouse and told me I was going to be the worship director for English.
Wow.
That was the most memory, the best memory you've ever heard.
Wow.
All right, Tam, you next.
Man, I'm like trying to remember one. Okay, so I remember the day it was a Thursday night. We came to practice for a Spanish service. And Sam, at the time, he was like, I have something to tell you. I was like, all right, dude. So we went into one of the offices. He was like, I'm leaving. And I was like, what? He was like, I'm leaving. He's like,
That's great.
in which we understood, God had bigger things for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, we understood that. And he told me, that, I had to hold it up. You know, like, he's like, I've told you all that I've learned from my past mentors that I know has helped you. And he's like, you have to go and help the other people that were like you, that were scared to express their talent, So that was the time where I was like, okay, like, yes, I love doing this. I love worshiping God. I love being able to sing it out. But I need to get in gear to help the other people that want to do it too.
Wow.
And that's like the first thought that came into my head right now.
I remember first hearing, that Sam was going to leave. Obviously, it was a big thing because he was here for such a long time. And, he's an amazing guitar player. And, when I first heard that like he was gonna leave, that was a big shock to me. Obviously it's like, oh, everybody's gonna stay here forever, and we're all gonna be old and play here,
Not
Grupo
always like
Fortaleza,
that.
But it's that's not always what's gonna happen, and Sam was a big part because you know without him, would you say maybe you wouldn't be here, maybe Selena wouldn't be here, he wouldn't have gave you that push. So thank you, Sam. If you're watching this, thank you. Um, these people are very grateful. I'm grateful, and I'm not there. I'm grateful of you. Um, Selena, Chris, Nathan, most memorable moment in the worship team?
Okay. So yeah, I'm a newbie.
Yes.
Um, but I remember it was a Power Youth service, and me and Jonathan were practicing, having our lesson, and I was already gonna play for that Wednesday service, my first ever time playing, and then Jonathan couldn't make it on Sunday because he had to like go somewhere.
Yeah.
So we were finished. He came up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder. He was like, Chris, and I turned around. I was like, oh hey. He was like, Sunday morning you're playing, and I was like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, Sunday morning you're playing. And then God told me I was playing for English service as well. So that was my first time playing. I thought that was pretty cool.
I remember I was there when that happened. That was like a month ago or something like that. And I remember when that happened, and I was laughing because you were like, what? Like, what? But when it happened, you were like, that's a blessing, And from going to, playing one or two Wednesday services to, oh, now you're playing Spanish and now you're playing English, that's a big thing for you. How did that make you feel? Because I know you told me at the time that you were like, I want to take things slow and I just want to, trying to budge into my way in the worship team. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you're going to play Spanish and English service. How was that experience for you?
It's a blessing from God, and I'm thankful for Jonathan and also Guile. But I was just in shock.
Yeah,
He was like, you, Spanish. And God was like, you, English. So.
Got you. Nathan, Selena, most memorable moment in the worship team?
I think the little moments are like the most memorable.
Yeah.
I don't know okay, Tammy, when you wrote your song and you told, I don't know who you told first, but I don't know, but it was really nice to see like all of us. Chris wasn't there yet, but it was really nice to see all of us, be open to what you had, and
Got you.
I was so excited for you. I was like, I remember when we played that Sunday for your song. I was like, Gabe and the Jinska were like, you were smiling the whole time. And I was like, oh, I know. I couldn't stop. It's just, we're like actually friends. And, we're not just.
Wow. That's
No,
a big
listen,
moment for everybody.
we're
We're
not
actually
just-
friends. Like,
we're
this
not
is
just
actually-
like, we're not just, no, listen. We're not just people that, get together on Sundays or Wednesdays and just to play.
Wow.
Like before COVID,
Yeah. That's
we used to hang out, guys. We used to hang out. And we've laughed so much. We've ate a lot. Good food. But yeah, it's those little things that are like really special in my heart because it just makes us us,
Wow. I can definitely get that. That's special. Nathan, most memorable moment in the worship team that you feel?
For me, is Sam's last service because we all played together, and I was
That's
happy.
Special.
I was
That
like,
was special.
we were all playing together, and I was happy, and I got sad,
Yeah.
But that's the most memorable service.
Nathan doesn't get sad a lot, but that service. Look at him. Nathan doesn't get sad a lot, but that service was very, very, very special. I remember that. I was there, and I remember that being very, very, very crazy. But I'm glad to hear all of you guys sharing memories. You know, even Christopher, he's still new and he still has that great memory. And you know, there's more memories to come down the road, of course. Can I ask everybody here? I guess we'll start off with Tammy. Uh, you know, she's talking about, you know, you writing your own songs. You've told me at home about, you know, you wanting to, you know, do songwriting and you playing the piano and you know, you bust yourself at being as good as you can at worship. So how are you trying to improve yourself, you know, individually coming with that, using your talent?
Um, so when I wrote that first song, I was telling Pastor Gabe, it was like, it was just crazy because before I tried writing songs and I'd look at them and then I'd hate them and I'd ball them up and I'd throw them away because I was like, oh, this is no good. Like, this isn't right. But that song, when I wrote it, like, I didn't even second thought about what I was writing down. Like, I was just writing stuff down. I was writing it down. I was playing it along, and I was like, okay, I like this one. Like, it was weird for me because I didn't like all the other ones, but I was like, I like this one. Like, this one is like, there's something about this one. And then I showed it to the band, and they liked it too, and we were able to play it, you know, for the services, and people would come up to me, hey, like, that's a really good song. Like, you did a really good job, and of course you're like, yeah, thanks, but it's like I knew, like, you know, this is God, you know. God gave me these words.
Mm-hmm.
God got me to get these words, to write them down, and to add music to it. Like, it wasn't me, you know. I've written another song. It's there. It's there.
That's good.
It's there.
It's in the vault. You'll bring it out one day.
It's there.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today. We're going to go ahead and move on to some of the user-submitted questions. These questions are from people that want to ask you something. We're going to go ahead and get into it. I don't see names, so they're all anonymous. So if there's something I say that you guys feel uncomfortable, that's their fault, not mine. So the number one question is, what advice would you give yourself when you first started out leading worship? So I guess that's for
What advice I would give myself when I first started?
yes.
I was always self-conscious about people. How they'd be like, what is she doing up there? Or she's not doing this right. Or she's off key. Or like, that was me. And so I would tell my past self, don't worry about that. Focus on you. Focus on what you're doing for God. And that's all that really matters.
Got you. Yeah, God will trying.
Well, if I could tell myself something in the past, is to practice more and don't make it all about you.
Got you. Don't make it all about yourself.
Yeah, that's how I started. Like, oh, I'm playing. You know, I want people to see me.
Yeah.
Wrong mentality. I tell you that.
Yeah. So your first thing when you play guitar was you didn't just
Show
play
off,
the guitar
yeah.
for the girls. Yeah,
Yeah.
got you.
Nah,
Next question. Do you feel like worship leaders are born? Do you feel like worship leaders are born of? Yeah, I don't know what the question is. We're just gonna move on to the next one. What were your first experiences with worship? So what were some of the things that when you first went into worship were the things that you noticed?
Oh, for me, I don't know, because I mean everything looked amazing and awesome. There weren't like nothing wrong, you know, because like, we practice, and so I don't know.
Got you. You're still a newbie. Maybe you'll have a question later on. Maybe you'll have an answer for that later on.
I think for me that it takes a lot of practice. It's not just like I guess with like the singing and like the instruments, it's not just got it once and then I'll just do it on Sunday. Yeah, I think it just takes practice. It has to be, you know, from your heart. You No, you have to do it with passion.
Got you. I know Tammy. She was talking about how like she used to sing at our old church, Bethania. Shout out to Bethania. But did you always know that that you can sing? Obviously, you can sing. I've heard you sing. You can sing. But did you always know that, or was it something that growing up in church and seeing worship team, you're like, oh, I can sing up there too? Like, was that a thing for you, or did you kind of have to grow into that?
I think little me always wanted to sing. I mean, I've sang like in my house and
In the shower.
in the
I sing all the
shower,
time.
when I'm home alone, I'll pull up the karaoke. But I think, yeah, because I remember having like the church choir when we were little. I don't know,
Yeah.
we were little, but like, can I? In my head, I would be like, I want to have a solo, because they would give those out sometimes. But I never said anything because I was like a little shy girl. I would have never pictured myself like here.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe yes and no.
Got you. All right. Any of you guys first experiences, first moments that you kind of were like, whoa, in the worship team?
Yes, for me it was whenever the first time I ever sang.
Uh-huh.
I ever sang. I was like, I got real into it. Like every time I play, every time I'm always like getting lit, for the Lord. That's the way I worship, bro. It's just whenever you give it all to God, like you actually feel like some intellectual, like supernatural holiness.
Yeah, you kind of went from like dun, 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 to like deep cries out like that, like
Yeah,
like
I'm finna cry, type.
yeah. Got you.
God can do. I think Nathan has something to say.
For me, it was at my old church. First time I ever played, I was little. I was like 8 years old, but I remembered God's presence was strong in the place. Seeing people cry, speak in tongues.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time. That's something beautiful. 'Cause that's what you're supposed to do when you worship and praise God. You're supposed to be in His presence.
Yeah.
That's something.
Got you. All right. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next question. When is the album coming out?
Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, I only got 2 songs, and usually an album has like the minimum is like 8. So but I mean, it's not up to me. Like, hear me out, guys. It is not up to me when this is happening.
Got you.
Y'all have talent as well. Y'all can write a song. We will play it.
Well, this doesn't say for Tammy. This is for everybody.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
When is the
'cause they gave me
eWorship
the mic.
album coming out?
They gave me the mic.
Are you guys? Is that like a closed thing? Like, is that something you guys would never do, or is that something like, let's say you guys have time and place?
I feel like it's something we would do. Yeah, like we would do it. Of course, under the circumstances, like it's kind of difficult.
Kind of can't do anything right now.
Kind of can't do anything right now. But you know what? One day. That's the answer. One day.
One day. And if
One
it doesn't
day.
happen, I'm going to interview somebody and I'm going to ask them why it hasn't come out yet. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. How can I join the worship team? Not me. Well, I'm kind of getting lessons from Gaia right now, and they're going all right. But it's going to be a long time coming. But for the average viewer, the average person who watches you guys, do you guys have fans?
That we know of, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
our parents love us very much. Pastor Gabe and Leginska are our #1 fans.
I am also a fan of you all. I love you all.
But yeah.
Got you. But how can somebody, an average person who just walks into the church, kind of what Nathan did, and want to be part of the worship team?
First of all, I mean, like, I've told people before, it's like, if you want to do this, If you want to play the guitar, if you want to play the bass, if you want to play the drums, if you want to sing, whatever you want to do, if you want to play the piano, come up to us. That's all you have to do. Come up
Are
to
you guys
us.
inviting or are you guys intimidating? Because it seems like
I
you
don't
guys are
know.
up on that stage. People are looking at you. Maybe coming up to you can be a little intimidating. Can you
I
tell
mean,
them
I
you're not?
hope-
You're open to giving lessons and stuff like
Of course, like I hope we don't seem intimidating. Like we're
that.
the most friendliest people ever. But yeah, if you want to do this with us, like just come up to us. Come up to us. Ask us. We're here. We're welcoming people with arms wide open. So yeah.
Got you. And you all are. I mean, of course, Chris got Jonathan. I'm getting lessons from Gaio. Selena, of course, is already in the worship team. Nathan, you want to teach somebody to play drums?
I've gotten so many people to tell me like, "Hey, can you teach us?" So like, I don't know. Sure. I mean, yes. Yeah. Just come up to me and we'll see. We'll talk to the pastors, the authorities, and we'll see if we can set a date. And then I'll be open to teach people.
Got you. I also teach how to interview. I do pay per hour, but next question. Do you think worship leaders are born or made?
I think either one. Mostly, I'm more in the made part.
So am I.
And you gotta you're gonna want it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it's a big responsibility. It's not like you just get thrown up there and be like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Nah, bro. It's more than that. It's a
Yeah.
spiritual level. You gotta read the Bible. You gotta be these basically as a worship leader. These are like your sheep. You gotta guide them, be their mentor,
Gotcha.
love them like how Christ loved the church. Just be a good example for the team. If you have that, then shoot, you're all set. If you love God with all your mind, with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your soul, you can do it, bro.
Got you.
But yeah.
Anybody else want to comment on that? I find it a very interesting question.
I feel like it's a little bit of both. Because, of course, God, He brings us to this earth and He has a purpose for us. Maybe that purpose is because you're going to become a leader, whether it's a worship team leader or not. He puts that purpose in us. But it's up to us to want that, to be like, I'm going to follow God's purpose in my life. So I feel like it's a little bit of both.
Got you. Anybody else want to comment on that? Got you. All right. So, well, now that we're done with all of the questions, if you guys have any closing remarks that you want to say, go ahead. Anything that you want to say publicly that you have on your mind, anything like that? Give him a mic. Give him a mic so he can say it.
Love you, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shout out to our viewers.
Thank you. Thank you for watching the show. I appreciate it a lot. Of course, I have a privilege to interview these great people. So, yeah, thank you. Anybody else have any closing remarks that you want to say publicly? Just want to announce your retirement.
I just want to tell the team, I love you guys very, very much. Y'all the realest. Y'all the best. Steven, you the big brother I ain't never had. Selena, you the sister I ain't never had because I only have two brothers. Chris, you my brother, so you know. But Steven, no, you're Steven. Nathan, you know Nathan. Hey, Nathan. We like this, right? Yeah? But yeah, I love y'all guys. We're just going to keep forward. Keep moving.
Interesting.
And if anybody who's interested of joining us, it's our name is Emmanuel Worship, who we sometimes say everyone worships, so eWorship.
Wow.
So if anybody's out there that goes from this church, I did eWorship. I did.
The founder of eWorship,
Oh.
Gaio Beltran.
I thought it was set. No, but anybody's out there that wants to sing with us, that wants to join us on stage, sing backup. I know Jessica does and Nelsie. all you gotta do is come grab a mic and sing with us. We happy to have y'all as backup singers, and just to have a moment with God and just bring down His glory. And I love y'all guys. Love you with all my heart. Y'all are really special to me in the next levels. And I love y'all with all my heart. Thank you for all y'all's
Aw,
help. Thank you,
that's-
pastors. Thank you,
They
Edward.
play the aw sound. There you go. So with that, anybody else closing remarks? No? Got you. And with that, we end episode 2 of Edward's interview show. Give yourselves a round of an applause. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking your time out on a busy schedule, taking your time out of practicing and doing stuff that is not being here. I want to thank you guys so much for giving everything. You guys want to shout out anything, shout out your platforms or anything like that. Follow them on all social medias. Their social medias right here on the screen. Gabriel, put their social medias right here on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with episode 3 soon. Follow us on Emmanuel Church. Follow Power Youth. Follow everybody here. Gabriel Legинska. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next episode. Bye. Before we go, we also want to say that this episode is in memorial of our dear, dear inspiration, a big part of everybody here, Pastor Delia. Y'all want to say that?
Love you and we miss you.